We're going to be talking about the top tips and practices for Ielts speaking.
The speaking test is divided into 3 sections or parts.
We have expand your vocabulary. You have to familiarize yourself with the topic first.
You can obviously take test on Pi and get a feedback from certified examiners.
When it comes to being a very good speaker of English, and that's even the same for a native speaker. Okay, moving on to number 4, Rishi.
We've got time management.
Time, it's the enemy of us all. And how can we manage it better?
Well, one must learn to allocate the effective time by planning your speaking task in a way that have I understood the crux of the cue card, have I answered the questions, and how would I portray, because intonation is very, very important, because I may sound different than what I'm actually not used to sounding, right? So when you are differentiating the questions, 30 seconds for each, you will be able to speak at a length for 2 minutes, uninterrupted flow, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, moving on to number 5.
Listen actively.
So important, just in all walks of life. But how can it be applied to Ielts?
When my examiner shoots any question at me, it is really important for me to understand the question well, for which I need to be listening very actively, because I cannot request my examiner to repeat the question to me over and over again, because that would give an impression that maybe I am not paying attention. So once, maybe in one section, if you're asking for that favor, that may be taken on you, the student may get an advantage in the name of the fact that the examiner was not very clear, okay,
Yeah.
or maybe the student missed some part of the question. That's still okay. But then if the student is taking an undue advantage of that, obviously the student is going to lose bands.
Absolutely.
So it's really important to pay attention to what the examiner is saying.
And often, sometimes when we're nervous, it can affect our listening skills,
Yeah.
can't it? And as always, when you're feeling nervous, sometimes you just have to
Take a deep breath.
take a deep breath, and it's amazing just the power that has on your mind. You can just suddenly reflect a lot more easily. So sometimes, before asking, could you repeat the question? Just take a deep breath, have a think, and if you still don't understand the question, ask it again, because that shows you've actively listened but you haven't fully understood. So try not to just flippantly keep asking again for the same question. Just relax yourself, and the listening will come eventually. Okay, moving on to number 6, Rishi.
We've got grammar and fluency.
Grammar and fluency. I mean, that's the cornerstone of communication. Being able to understood. How can we apply that to Ielts speaking?
Sound natural as much as you can. Do not adapt any accent that you've heard or you've come across to any podcast or any channels or movies. The only effective way is like when you keep your process of thinking very natural and not to be an overthinker, your grammar will come into place, and whatever you speak must be your personal experience. You cannot relate your story to somebody else's experience and narrate the story.
For your attitude, there's a fine balance for the attitude when it comes to fluency and grammar. Fluency, it's important to be relaxed. I mean, look like the way you're sitting now, I can tell you're very relaxed and very comfortable. But I would say with grammar, you can get way too relaxed, can't you? And I've noticed with some students, the same grammar mistakes are coming up every time, and I think it speaks to them being not self-critical enough and not following the feedback. So always be looking for feedback when you're speaking to people, especially from your trainers, about whether you could have said something better or in a more precise way. But don't let that affect your fluency. Okay, brilliant. Moving on to number 7, Asheen.
Use a variety of sentence structures.
So that is complex, compound, simple. Why is that important when it comes to speaking?
Because I don't want my examiner to get bored, right? So because if the student ends up writing the same type of sentence over and over again, the examiner is not going to find a kick in the answer, if I may say so, right? I need to make sure that I am entertaining the examiner in a way that my examiner is feeling interested in reading what I've written. Or for that matter in speaking, I need to keep him involved in my answer, so I need to make sure that I'm using a variety of sentences. At the same time, if I do not use a variety of sentences, that means I don't combine different categories, how would I be using connectors over there?
Very true.
Right. So that kind of covers the question part as well.
I mean, just listen to your response then. You gave me a complex sentence and a compound sentence.
Yes.
And you'll find that, in general conversations, especially for part 3, you're not likely to use many simple sentences.
Yes.
It can be usually simple sentences are very powerful in speeches or in very quick conversations, like in part 1.
Yes.
So yeah, you need to get a variety of them as well. Too many complex sentences can get very boring, can't they? But simple implies a simple mind sometimes, doesn't it?
Yes.
So a variety of everything. I need to make a good platter ready for my examiner.
Variety is the spice of life, as they say.
Yeah.
So true.
Okay, moving on to number 8, Rishi.
We have feedback and improvement.
Oh, it's so important. This is why coming to classes, taking courses is so important. In what ways can students make the most of feedback?
Well, a trainer must understand that feedback not necessarily has to be critical feedback. It could always be elevating or supportive feedback. Make them realize their weaknesses and strengths and allow them to incorporate that feedback in a way that they want to comprehend. Because every time one receives a feedback, it's not going very well.
Absolutely.
Because they do frown and they're like grumpy all over. It's like all the time the trainer is just behind me. But they do not understand the crux of it. It's like it's always we give you feedback for your own betterment.
That's right. And I've noticed actually from the friends I've made since moving to India, the ones that speak like the very, very best English, they're the ones that will often ask me questions like, did I say that right? Or did I say that can I say that in a better way? They're always looking for feedback. So don't just listen to the feedback that you're given. Sometimes, try to seek out feedback. If you've got a teacher that you feel hasn't given you enough feedback that day, just ask for it. That's what teachers are there for. Feedback is the cornerstone of teaching, isn't it?